Hi, everybody. Well, I'm glad to be here at Carnival of Randomness. It's Rob. I almost was in Albany, stuck down there. Thank you, AAA, and I'll give you a shout-out even though we don't sponsor you because I'm here because of you.
A fate worse than death, being stuck in Albany.
Yes, and we have our second banana, Greg, who's really looking forward to this after being here for a week. Join the club. You're the latest one who's done this.
The empty parking lot spoke volumes to me last week.
And we have our zoomologist, Patrick's in the studio.
Hello.
And this is one of those where we're going to have the masked wrestler on, the masked drummer, but he's got a bout in Ithaca, so I asked John to come down. Suddenly, he had to go to Ithaca for a family get-together. It's those two guys. I don't get it. And then we had the Baron, and the Baron got a hold of me. He ended up taking the wrong turn, and he's past Buffalo. So that's our guest. That's our crew. So what we're going to do, we're going to try to entertain you with our wit and talk about stuff that we usually do. But one thing I wanted to start, I've had this, it's popped in my head for a week. It's, okay, they've got things out like the new Kung Fu Walker, Magnum PI. And I'm thinking, do they do these reimaginings more for branding purposes because they're lazy? Because you could do like a young lady doing Kung Fu or Texas Ranger. But do you think maybe the name sticks out to people?
Well, I just was reading last night, as a matter of fact, because I was bored to death at work, something about Highlander. And they were talking about how this Henry Cavill thing, and he's good. I don't know. But they were talking about how that franchise, which that word I'm starting to hate altogether. But
sounds like Burger King.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
have a hamburger when you come to the show.
Yeah. And so they were saying how the first one was pretty good, but it started at the end, and then the guy goes through this whole thing. And the second one was, a piece of tripe, I guess. But they're just talking. He was talking about that very thing. He was saying, "Well, it's a bankable thing. It's well known." But they said that the possibilities are good because these people are immortal, and you could have different centuries represented and different bad guys, to fight throughout the.
Did they have like a show for like 10 years?
There was a syndicated show.
Yeah,
so who was it? Adrian Paul.
Adrian Paul.
I was never.
Which
a lot
I've never
of my
seen.
Friends used to love to go to the
it was a
medieval
fun show.
banquets. They loved Highlander. I like the Kurgan. I'm a Clancy Brown fan.
Oh no, he was the
Clancy's great. And I always liked, that's why I like Buckaroo Banzai. Yes, I know what happens, but he gets to play a good guy for once, which is rare for poor Clancy.
Yeah.
And he was a great Lex Luthor on the animated Superman.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, he did it. Yeah, he did it. He gets so much voiceover work because his voice is so distinct.
And he was the best part of Green Lantern.
I still haven't seen that. That's
one
of
of
those.
I'll be honest.
It really isn't
about
as bad as they make it out.
No, and I think what they did right was Oa.
Yeah.
I think Mark Strong, who I really, really like, he's in it as Sinestro.
Right.
And they do Oa right, but what they should have done, if they had Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds just, mocked it in Deadpool 2.
Oh, yeah.
But what they should have done with him is they should have made, if they're just going to go, we have Ryan Reynolds, let's make this Kyle Raniere. He fits better as that character, not like it's because Hal's sort of a square dude.
Hal Jordan is he is.
He'd be like Chris Evans, like from Captain America.
Right.
Yeah, he is Joe
America,
conservative.
1940s, 50s type, like Barry Allen, a cop, Mr. 1950. You got to remember when these characters were invented.
Right. Yeah, well, and famously, Green Lantern, Green Arrow run. They were always, Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen were always
the big liberal and the big conservative.
Yeah.
The thing was, that was Denny O'Neil, and God rest his soul, he passed away this year or last year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, but they came up with because basically Green Arrow was just like a Robin Hood character, a little rich kid, and when Denny O'Neil took this over with Neil Adams, they brought in social issues. They had like one with a kid addicted to heroin. They had one. Yeah. They had one that was really touching where it's like I think they went into a ghetto and one of the residents went to Green Lantern. It's like, we never see you here.
Yeah.
Right.
Really good stories.
Yeah, you're never saving the day.
DC Dark.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a lot. That was 70s especially is when comics started to get a social conscience.
Right.
You know, obviously, it was depending on who's writing
Remember
it.
Harry Osborn was he whacked on like LSD or something? Because then they took the coat off. They took the comic coat off. I remember you opened the issue and he's like on the top of a building with little birdies around his head.
Wow.
Wasn't it LSD or something? I think.
I don't remember. I
But
didn't
they took the coat off. They took, and he was like, I think he found it or something, and they had him whacked. So nobody cared about the comics. There was some Wortham was an old weirdo. You know, comics are going to corrupt. Well, look how we are now. Obviously, they have.
That's why I like the New Frontier. Did you watch the New Frontier?
Yeah,
one? That was cool because they took all
Darwin
the
Cook,
60s.
right?
Yeah, they took all the 60s versions of those characters and put them in the Korean War type.
Oh
era.
no,
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
I like that they're able to do, take a look at take a look back at characters and how they used to be, like the three Jokers. That
10 of them now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's the whole thing. It's like you look, there's some distinct patterns in the Joker at different periods of time where they're like, they could literally be multiple people because he wasn't supposed to have an origin.
It might have been the Red Hood, maybe it might have been this.
It depends on if you're going by Killing Joke and
you think he's going to tell you what really happened.
Exactly. It's an unreliable narrator.
That's why I think the one thing about the Ledger Joker was he didn't fall in the vat of chemicals. He wore the makeup. He cut himself probably, and everything that he told you. You're going to believe him?
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing, and to give a background story for that character is to do a disservice to that character because you're never ever going to come up with something that's going to be more than what's in your mind.
Well, the one I remember reading about from the 40s was that he escaped from a prison or something, and he swam through a sewer thing.
Yeah.
And it was full of crap.
See, I heard he was the Red Hood, and he fell into the vat.
That was and that was what they... the Killing Joke kind of expounded.
And I remember the comic book because Batman's teaching a class in detective work to some college students. And they figure it out. It's like, it's probably the Red Hood.
Imagine Batman's
he did the one. They showed him. He puts, if you find a gun, pick it up with a pencil so you don't touch it. Get fingerprints on it.
We remember, when you're in college, a 10-minute rule.
Yeah.
They give him to your professor 10 minutes. If he doesn't show up, you leave. You get marked. It was just like, what are you, a Batman? You just
my surreal
vanishes.
He'll hunt you down if you can.
My surreal moment. So I walk out. I go to political science. Right. I go up there. G. Gordon Liddy teaches. G. Gordon Liddy, and I'm looking, going, okay. I didn't drink too many wine coolers.
Who's firm?
So that was. But I remember how that. I think, Greg, that's a really good idea too. Is I think a lot of characters. I think Wolverine would come to mind how they screwed up in terms of leaving some mystery.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, I don't know who said it, but it was like, okay, go back to Superman. Let's go back to like a 40s comic. You go by, he'd be flying over an ocean. Dragon would come up. Yes, a dragon. I'm not just saying a dragon. And he would blast him. And then he would go on.
Yeah.
Now, that would be it. You never hear from the dragon again. Now, if that was these days, somebody would write it. You'd have a comic backstory on the dragon.
Well, it's it's a thing where everybody now needs to know where everything came from, but when you tell that story, it just makes everybody mad.
It was so much more fun.
Well, that's why I like the Nolan thing because he was just there. He just existed, and that's it. Off we go.
But what do you think about these? All these same things like Magnum P.I., Kung Fu, Walker.
Nostalgia. It's nostalgia.
I'd say it's branding. I mean, like, say somebody a little older sees it, I'm going to check that out because I remember these shows.
I think they're trying to get to the most kind of people. So they figure, we'll make it a woman, or we'll make it a different Asian, or we'll make it a different culture to grab in those people, or to show that we know what's going on and that we're diverse. And I think there's some of that. There's some just plain old, hey, we can make money on this. And a lot of it's just we don't need to invent anything else because there's already this here.
Yeah. It's the easiest thing to do. You can tick. It's big companies ticking off boxes.
Right.
You have guys like in the back with focus groups going, now we want to attract. It's like with our show, it's like, listen, I hope you like it. I have no freaking idea what we're doing.
honestly, and they win either way, because they win if people are mad, or they win if people like it, and they win if people are very vocal about it. Because the thing that people realize is the people who are vocal on the internet explaining what they hate about this thing that they watched is they watched it.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a movie.
I'm not going to mention
Right.
the name of this, but this happened like decades ago. There was this public access show. It was just dumb, repulsive stuff. But what happened was somebody was turning the channel at night, saw it. They had these protests. The audience went up 10 times. And the guy even said, if we couldn't have even... we couldn't have even had these protests. I would have loved to have started one, because look what it did.
Probably nobody would have seen it, or not.
Or did you see? You get you turn on, you get the good news about the D-lister wearing a bikini and whatever politician did something naughty when you turn on the computer, but you get. They're all up. Did you see what happened? I actually got a text from a friend a couple weeks ago where she said, I guess the internet's blowing up about who they casted as Wednesday on the Addams Family. I have no fucking clue.
I don't know. I didn't even know there was another one.
Me either.
Yeah, Tim Burton is doing one. I guess they kicked off Johnny Depp because of Johnny Depp's whatever, the stuff.
Yeah, well, I think that, regardless of what you think about people, at this point, there's some people I think that are just becoming not worth the bother.
No, and it's you can't control the stuff. So if you just don't watch it or just, you can't do anything.
Like I said, I came to the conclusion about both of them was that I don't know who did what, but it's really obvious that they're both pretty awful people.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. If
we don't even want to mention them, but
it seems like there's a very good chance that they're both pretty awful people.
But I keep up because Alexis is a big fan of the Addams Family, so sometimes we'll go back and forth talking about it. And my friend Melinda is, and that's where. But I sent Melinda. I was talking to them about Sandman, and I just know Melinda told me I have no idea who any of these people are, and I said, well, Jenna Coleman's playing Joanna Constantine. I'm happy about that. She's who? Yeah, you're right.
I thought the two movies they made, was it 2 or 3?
For what? Of the Addams
Family? What's his name?
With Raul Julia.
Yeah,
he was a lot more like
he
was a lot more like Gomez, and I love John Astin. You can't not love John Astin. But Raul Julia was like the Gomez in the.
Yeah, I like those movies. I mean,
I hope they don't make them like not family, because they should be family friendly. As much as family friendly seems really lame, and a lot of times it is, but I think the Addams Family movies were great because they weren't trying to be anything more than they were.
They weren't. We're not weird. We're just who we are.
The Addams Family.
Of the Addams Family.
It's like if you hear Addams Family being rebooted by Rob Zombie.
Yeah, right. They crawled out of the primordial nuclear waste.
You know what? I'll give you an example. I just for the
Whoever
heck of it.
gave him a camera. Jeez Louise.
But one of the things is.
1,000 Corpses wasn't.
I actually like Rob Zombie stuff for what they are.
It.
I think he's a horror. He does homages.
Movie.
That's the thing. And actually, I saw after I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 again, all Bill Moseley was doing his character from that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
stuff like that.
Well, it was my issue with House of 1,000 Corpses was that.
Did you count them and there wasn't?
998 corpses.
God damn it, false advertising.
Lawsuit.
You promised 1,000 corpses. You deliver 1,000 corpses. No.
Where's my?
Was it just? It wasn't finished movie. Because you have weird jumps in the
like the EC comic thing.
It's kind of his style too, and it's kind of disjointed.
I think it was. I think it wound up being his style by not necessarily by choice, because I think there was he wanted to do more, but he didn't. So it's weirdly disjointed. But there's Sid Haig's great. All the scenes with him and the kids at a certain there's good stuff in it. But I like Devil's Rejects a lot because it was a completely different kind of movie. But
maybe that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah,
that
Devil's
might be
Rejects
the one.
was a lot better because
very nasty movie.
They're all nasty, but it's just his aesthetic which gets a little bit tiring. But his Halloween movies, I didn't see his Halloween 2, which I can't imagine was any better than this. I did not like the first one because it did everything. the thing that was scary about Michael Myers was he was a mystery.
Right.
They on the set, they called him the Shape.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of big fans refer to Michael Myers as the Shape.
Even in the book, I actually read the book for Halloween 2, the original.
Yeah.
I used to have a goofy thing, and I was like John Waters, because I guess John Waters collects paperbacks.
Oh, the paperback adaptations?
I would read the adaptations. So I read Halloween 2, and all they do is call him the Shape.
Yeah, because that's what Well, that's the thing. And these adaptations too are
they should
kind
play
of cool
Shape
to
of
read
Things to Come by the Yard or something.
because when they farm these adaptations out, they'll give the writers a script that's before they even shoot the movie.
Right.
So the scripts almost always contain stuff that's cut out of the movie. The Star Wars adaptation has all of the stuff, all the Tashi Station, the stuff with Biggs. That's because that was all in the script, and it probably, if you read it, probably reads like George Lucas's really clunky original script for Star Wars.
Yeah, because that's what they do. And actually, Star Trek the Motion Picture, it's actually good, the book, and it really...
Well, they wanted to, and because I just saw a thing about this recently. The reason I pop it is because they wanted to release a novelization with like 3 different endings. Because they didn't want to give away the big spoiler about Spock. Spoiler, Spock dies in Star Trek 2. 30-year-old movie. 40-year-old movie? I don't even know at this point. 40-year-old movie. But they didn't want to give it away, so they wanted to, put that ending and like 2 other endings, and if you got the book. But they just wound up just kind of
and a fan comes in the studio to take a picture of us while we're talking. It's amazing. We can't get away from them.
The one movie that I don't know why I can't think of the name.
Think of it for a second while.
The Eli Roth or whatever his name is. Hostel.
Ooh.
I watched the first one, and I was like, you're watching it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this. Ooh, this is really good. I can't believe I'm watching it. Ooh, this is really interesting. Ooh, I
Try
can't
the
believe
Green Inferno if you want to.
Get
some Tahoes beforehand.
Yeah. I just don't like.
Like why that's entertainment is beyond me, and why anybody would even care. These chop shops exist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's weird. It's like
I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I do know. I've heard those stories.
That's true horror to me.
But that Jeepers Creepers guy, about what a weirdo that guy is.
I like that movie.
But the first Jeepers Creepers is really like, for the most part, it's a pretty cool movie because it's kind of original in a way, but then it deviates into kind of.
But you know what? You were talking about the Addams Family. I had not seen it, and I'd read the book, so I finally watched The House with the Clock in its Walls. Yeah. And I think maybe you're thinking along those terms, where it's scary, but kids can go see it.
Yeah. And the Addams Family, that's the thing. The Addams Family's not supposed to be scary.
Well, they're macabre.
They're weird and macabre, and kids love that stuff.
It's not slasher stuff. It's just, they like black things and dead things, and it's just a different vibe,
Yeah. It's fun, and it's lighthearted,
they're really happy. They could live in a dingy old house with cobwebs and be perfectly happy.
House. I love that house.
And the Munsters was the same thing.
Yeah.
And you could like them both because they were very different.
Right.
Like they both had a very different way. They just, everything was very different about them. You had what about you have these famous movie monsters who basically are recognizable. They live in the same house. But they were fun because they were just about taking the, picturesque sitcom family
and they are the picturesque sitcom family because they're all great people. They're happy. They have and the thing is, it's a one joke thing though, where they're oblivious that Herman didn't understand why people run away.
Oh, Marilyn was the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
They're just
I feel so bad.
So hideous.
I feel so bad about Marilyn. And everything like that. But that's why it's really sort of, I think, because they did so many episodes, 2 per year, that's why they fizzle out. Also, Munsters got killed because what happened, Batman started on another channel against it.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this one a little bit, about serials, because we were watching Superman recently. But why weren't there any, again, I get the thing back about how come we never had Luthor or anybody else in The Adventures of Superman?
Well, and I still maintain, like I was talking
We don't
about
know.
it.
We don't know.
Well, like I said to you in our last conversation, that the original TV show started with the producers of the radio show, Robert Maxwell, and he did the radio shows. The radio shows were all about. In fact, they lifted a couple stories right off the radio shows. The stolen costume was one. And they even attacked bigotry, where these like black kids were on a race team, a track team, and these guys were trying to kill them because they didn't want those people. And that was they were really getting pretty heavy with it. But they had like, mysteries. They were more like mysteries. That's why that first season is all mysteries type stuff. And then I think I know Kellogg's got involved. There was a hiatus. Kellogg, because they made the show on spec, I guess. There was no sponsor, so they just made the shows, and then they found the sponsor, and then another year went by, and then Kellogg says, "Okay, we'll do this, but it's got to be toned down a bit, yada yada yada." So that's why the second season is so different. But I don't know. I think they just maybe wanted to keep it grounded and save money, and maybe they figured if they had to do a lot of outer space stuff and
I think
robots weren't very sophisticated.
No,
then.
we saw the robots they had.
A lot of the big issues they had with that show of why they did it a certain way was the budget, and they just special effects just really wasn't a thing.
So they just kept it to gangsters.
Yeah,
which is funny because there's that one guy who always plays a gangster who pops up almost in every episode as a different.
They had a little
gangster.
stable of people. I know, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But I actually really liked. I actually find I think Noelle Neal was great, but I still prefer Phyllis Coates.
Oh, she was the best.
Yeah,
and this
she had the best
Noelle Neal was
scream in
great.
history.
But for those Warren things, but I think she was the best. And didn't she appear in like a movie or like a TV show? It's something.
She was in a Leave It to Beaver episode as a neighbor.
Oh.
One where Beaver thinks the husband's going to kill him because the lady's talking to him. He thinks he's going to get his head chopped off by the hedge clippers or something.
Oh, for goodness sake!
And dark, gritty reboot of Leave It to Beaver.
But she doesn't look the same. She looks different. She had longer hair.
The most famous Lois Lane from
Phyllis Coates.
She would be the second.
Season.
I think I know one of them was in Superman the motion picture.
That was Noelle Neal.
Okay,
on the
I
train.
think wasn't
on the
she
train.
Yeah. And it was Kirk Allen was the father, was the husband.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, that was their cameo.
Because wasn't Noelle Neal in Superman Returns where she was on it? She was the widow that Luthor married to rip off.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
We'll forget about Luthor for that film.
and I believe Noelle Neal, Phyllis Coates appeared in Lois and Clark as Lois's mother in an episode.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is they've continued that along with having Helen Slater play Supergirl's mom, or having Dean Cain as
in
her
a way
dad.
that's kind of good. I mean, it kind of keeps the
it's for the Flash. The Flash, John Wesley Shipp played
his dad.
Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
Which his dad. He also played his father. In the first couple seasons.
That's a good one. The only one right now I'm watching, actually, I'm caught up on Legends of Tomorrow, and I think that's still going well.
That's a good show. Yeah.
I'm going to have to catch them all when they hit streaming because I just...
This time I actually have it. I usually never do.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for somebody to just bundle together all the Crisis things, and I can watch them in a row because I hate flipping around to each show trying to figure out where the hell they are.
But I guess they didn't. That's just really... Yeah, it's really...
But I read something else on the internet. How's the internet? It's
Got to be true.
They said it's
get your salt shaker out.
They said that's every show, it's the 7th or 8th show in is a Crisis one.
Is the crossover?
Yeah,
like
it's
the crossover episode.
Thing. So if you go into those shows in each season, there's 7, 8, maybe episodes.
Also they all premiere it, and they all premiere at different times. So
yeah. But I mean, most of that stuff's pretty interesting. I mean, that's kind of like going back to what we started with. I mean, with that whole thing, you can recreate every world you want. Now, this guy can be a villain instead of a hero. This guy can be, whatever, or this, So there's endless permutations, I guess you could do with those.
Well, the one year I watched them out of order because I got goofed up.
Yeah.
So it's they got this. Oh, now it's the Injustice Society. That must be cool, too, as an actor. You get to play the evil version of your character, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go kill my character.
Yeah, that's always fun. Every character has their dark doppelganger.
Did you see, the Dark Three Stooges? That would be... They'd bungle up doing whatever they did, though.
I got to
Joe
tell you,
Besser was the Dark Three
They hurt
Stooges.
other people and not each other.
I have to tell you, though, I really liked that movie. When they came out with that movie, I thought that movie was
What, the Three Stooges movie?
was great.
The Farrelly brothers did that?
Yeah. It was freaking great.
It wasn't bad.
I never saw it. Sean Hayes was Larry, right?
It's funny as hell.
I think Sean Hayes. That's
Yeah.
the only right.
Yeah.
Will Sasso was Curly.
Will Sasso was Curly, and I don't remember who played Mo, but it was I think it was a British actor. I think
It was really. I thought they did a great because they had the weird stuff with the nuns and I mean they really they just slipped in a little bit of their depravity thing in there with the nuns. The nun being kind of like a guy. And he was dressed up like I was like, so they made their point.
Because they grew up in an orphanage together. Yeah. But they also had Mo joins the cast of Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
He's a smart one.
He was their business manager, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was, it wasn't bad. And the thing was, it was so weird. This was one of those movies more interesting hearing about it because over the years, it had all these big names attached, like with Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro.
Oh, my God.
I would pay all the money.
No, there were. It was serious. They had like
I would pay all the money in the world to see that.
Sean Penn was going to play Mo. Benicio del Toro was going to play Curly. No, he was going to play Larry.
He was going to play Larry.
And I don't know who was going to play Curly.
Well, Sean Penn, this is a guy, he's really, somebody came along in his life and sucked out his sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like, just sucked it all out. Like
Madonna.
Who knows?
No, I remember first seeing him, and whenever he started getting serious, was that Spicoli?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good not to take yourself seriously like that.
I watched Gangster Squad back a couple of months ago. You ever see that movie with Josh Brolin and Sean Penn?
Oh, no.
It's a Chicago gangster thing.
Yeah, he's one of the. Who is he? He's like one of the.
He's like the mafia.
One of the name Meyer Lansky.
Yeah.
Some one of those guys.
Holy crap! What a good movie, and pretty violent, but very they did it very period, so it's 40s Art Deco, L.A. and all that. So, but it's very good, and I liked it a lot.
But the story,
Sean Penn's, he's in his element
goes like after The Godfather, gangsters saw the movie, started dressing that way because of the movie.
That was when and then in the 1970s is when the mob really got taken apart,
whacked, so to speak.
Because they when they started getting involved in the drug trade.
Yeah,
the old timers did not want to be part of the drug trade. It got out of control. The FBI just seized everything, ran in and just. Yeah,
that's an interesting thing too. Is like what's the line, the codes, and all the stuff that they had, the rules they had. Yeah, and that's kind of why they were somewhat fair. You kind of knew where you stood with them. After a while, when the drug thing came in, I guess it was got too violent.
Yeah, it was a changing of the guard from into these younger guys who, were a lot more violent, way out of control, and it was always like the Tony Soprano thing is we're soldiers, so we know what the risk is, and that kind of nonsense. They're just like.
But we were talking going around a little bit. I think another difference too is back in the old days. What were there like maybe 3 channels, and so they had this.
Oh yeah.
Now there's really niches all over the place. Like if a show gets 1 million viewers, it's big in some places.
Right.
So it's like in terms of like your music, even you just play, you don't really cater to audiences.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, some people, every now and then you'll have somebody, hey, I stumbled on your stuff, I really like it, it sucks to leave it to chance like that, and that's why you got to get on these platforms and put a lot of junk on your Facebook pages and stuff like that, because you almost got to beat them over the head with it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here, I'm out here.
We have original music, you'll like it, stop down. Have some chicken wings.
Yeah. Well, you got to sell it. I'm a big believer in that. A little P.T. Barnum isn't going to hurt anybody. You got to sell it. You got to.
So now, how much have you guys been playing out, like recently? Is this,
Well, we did Abilene, a couple weeks ago. I've got a jazz gig coming up next week. Anonymous Willpower.
Are you seeing more people at places now?
Yeah. I think they're finally starting to creep out. Like, I know I'm going to be back at Abilene with Brian Lindsay next week, or no, a couple weeks. So, the 25th. Yeah. So, I think, that's the thing. It's like if his fan base is going to come out, they're going to come out. If they've missed them, they're going to come out. And and if they don't,
that's what we're seeing at Adriana's shows. We know it's like we have like our fan base, and then we have we were at Iron Smoke, but then there's the regulars there. Right. That's how it sort of is.
Some people just go to a place just to. That's kind of like what I do. I just who's playing tonight? I'll go down there and see what's up.
Yeah, that's what I used to do back in the day.
It'll kind of go
3 or
back
4
there.
things a night, where it's like now.
Well, I have a harder time now with working and stuff. I mean, I got a wacky schedule and stuff, and then I got a lot of rehearsals. I'm in this other band called In the Mix, and we're doing 75 Stutson this coming Saturday or Friday.
Yeah.
Maybe actually this has probably happened by the time this gets out.
Right, that'll already have happened, but I would have been there.
Yes.
It was a great show.
Yes, it was incredible.
But I'm kind of looking forward to that because it's a big, live streaming thing. So you gain new people that way. I mean, that's another avenue that he's smart to do that. I mean, more bars probably should invest in this.
Oh, I saw a lot of those for a while. I would have on my calendar all the concerts of the week during lockdown from my computer, and I would do those watch parties.
Yeah.
Which now my computer or Facebook won't let me do for some reason, whatever. But every week it's still like Allison Moore. She still does. Her and Hayes Carl, they still do them weekly because they got into them. They're playing
great.
shows.
Yeah, he's great.
But Hayes is great, and Allison's great. She does her soothing Sunday songs. And she said after starting this, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But she's playing. But Hayes does them. He's done, I think, over 50 of them now. And now he's starting just going through his albums. And I know a lot of friends were doing them every week.
My girlfriend and her friend went to his show when he was here, and she's got some pictures. Man, that guy's freaking like 6'6" or something. He's freaking huge. He's like
I saw him from stage, but I was talking to him when he was sitting down, so I don't remember that.
He's got a picture of her, the 2 girls, and they're up to like here. It's like, hi.
His story though, his best story still goes when he started at that bar in Galveston. And he said, if you want to be humble, all you have to do is think of these beginnings. I would play on Wednesday nights. They'd have a sign, Wednesday night specials, $4.99 chicken wings, pitcher of beer, and Hayes Carl. But he's great, like the stories he told and everything. And it'd be nice. But now when I see him, I'm like, Hayes, I've seen you every week, basically.
Well, that's the other thing, too, though, the storytelling and getting the crowd. I always try to explain this to people, too, is like, you just can't rattle your songs off one after the other. That's why Springsteen is so good.
Yeah.
You got to stop and tell people, talk to them for a minute. Hey, wow, I've had some really rough times, and this song's about here's the story what happened here. And all of a sudden, now you're immensely involved in why this song happened.
Like Kevin
and then when he plays the song, you're like, well.
Kevin Wilcox with the UV rays, when he gets up and he goes, I love you, Kevin. We'll get you on the streaming sometime. He's in Vegas. We can't get him here. So he gets up, he goes, well, this is a song about the time I peed my pants. I was really into that song.
Well, you got to talk about universal concepts. That's
everybody could relate, I'm sure. But the opposite of that's Dylan, though, because when I saw Dylan did not say a word to the audience at all.
Yeah.
He came out the only time he said a word. I guess he stopped one show somewhere because somebody took a picture.
Yeah, Dylan. He's a.
See, I don't understand things like that. Why would you not want?
Who knows? At the end of the day, I'm sure it's a money thing.
I mean, you don't want really bad pictures being out there. Nobody would, but I mean, you can't really stop people with everybody with a phone and everything. You just can't stop them from putting them up there. What are you going to do?
No, you can't. I've seen every show I've gone to. Obviously, people get the camera out.
And I think a lot of newer bands really just kind of embrace that whole look, somebody will put our whole show in Rio on YouTube, and he'd be like, "Oh, here, look, you see what we're like live from a very small, so."
I mean, it's a variation on the Grateful Dead thing, letting people just record.
Yeah, if you were going to come, you would come, you'd be there.
Right.
And also, I think people are going to see these videos, and even if you get one person to come to your show,
yeah. Exactly.
It's like you see your hero Billie Eilish put out a new video.
My hero. Yeah. Well, I can't fight it. She's good, I guess. I've never even heard a song. I can't even tell you.
But Dylan, I know Dylan just until this started, he toured every year.
Yeah.
So he either really likes it or he wants the money or something. Because you figure at his age, it's something you got to like doing.
Right.
It's like when I saw Mose Allison, when he was in his 80s before. Almost before he had to stop, but he was touring. He was playing 200 gigs a year in his 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole thing too of selling your catalog, it kind of ensures you perpetuity or whatever you're going to be kind of immortal because those people are going to want their money back, so they're going to push your stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's just pros and cons of the whole thing, but at the same time, it's just, you're making sure that your music, lives on.
Right.
And
I mean, they're not going to give you $4 million and not want to get it back.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know the
it's going to be
future.
out
I
there,
give up on guessing the future of anything, in terms of music, film, anything else, what holds up, what doesn't.
Right.
You look back at how many years, like what bands, even like 70s or 80s, they were huge and then you never hear them again.
I just got through watching the first season of Perry Mason, the reboot of that. That was really good.
Oh, so good. So good. And you start at the beginning of that series and you're just like, okay, I never really watched the old Perry Mason show, but just like, okay, it was generally, a lot of courtroom stuff.
Right.
And then we meet him and he's this kind of washed out private eye.
Right,
And
it's
you're like,
great.
How does this guy become this guy? And the way he becomes a lawyer was really cool.
I loved it. Yeah.
I was just everybody was so good on that show. John Lithgow was amazing, and like everybody was great.
That's because I coached him. I ran into him at Big M.
Well, you did a good job, man.
I did. I remember it was so funny because I'm going with Big M and it's all blocked off, right?
Yeah.
And I forgot they were filming up there.
That's right.
They're filming through him, and I ran. And what did I say? Of course, I loved you in Buckaroo
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, you're the one that saw that.
I don't think he lived here. I don't think he lived here long.
I think it was. I don't think he was here very long.
And what was his real name? And it wasn't Emilio Lizardo. Wasn't there something else that was his real alien name?
Okay, his alien name was John Warfin.
Yes, that
John
was it.
Warfin. They were all the.
Then there were all the Johns. John
evil
Big,
electroids.
John Big Booty.
Yeah, all the evil electroids.
You're making me want to see this movie now. I gotta
watch. You like
no,
it? I don't
insane.
own it, or I get it. Give it.
I've seen it. It's out there. I gotta look at it.
And I think the whole play was like a Doc Savage type thing because they advertised. They had afterwards coming up the case of like Mr. Cigars. That was all a work. They never were going to do it.
Oh yeah, no, it was just like it was Buckaroo Banzai and the World Crime League.
Yeah.
It was that's the movie that was teased and never happened. But I don't even think when they made that movie they expected to make another one because it was just so out there. But it was.
Speaking of the World Crime League, Greg just looked at our bat signal warning, and we have to go. Somebody wants us to go fight some crime.
Yeah,
so
I have
we
to leave it
wrap
to you
up.
guys. I have to
So
take
it's
off.
been. Maybe we'll have guests next time if they don't get lost or fate doesn't befall us or anything else. But this was fun, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's always fun just jawing with you guys and
send us your questions. We won't answer them probably.
Or if there's a topic you'd want a bunch of knuckleheads to talk about.
You know how to get a hold of us.
Get a hold of us.
Because I don't know these
We're
things
here.
or whatever. Or a hot topic, give us T-shirts.
Yeah.
Why are drummers always sitting down? Well, let me explain that to you.
See, we can have
you
this.
seen a drum kit?
But Greg, you were going to play something. Pick a song, any song.
Well, I'm gonna be hopelessly selfish here and play one that I wrote. So
Yeah.
Oh, joy. I can't wait to hear this.
All right.
it's all about living in a trailer park. So there, you take it from there.
Cool, folks. This is Trailer Romance by Anonymous Willpower, written by our very own Greg.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Trailer romance, you're in every town. I know. Trailer romance, it's time to get some cheery ho-hos. Trailer romance, why did you have to go? I woke up with this feeling, and I ain't gonna